Jill was 36 years old when an aneurysm burst in her brain. As I walked into the hospital room, she had a feeding tube in her nose, a breathing tube down her throat. Her husband, Jack, holding her hand with both of his, he looked up at me with bloodshot eyes. And I introduced myself the way I always do. Hello, my name is Justin. I'm the chaplain on your care team. He looked at me, and within a blink of an eye, he said, "What the fuck is a chaplain?" Fair enough. I didn't know what a chaplain was when I started this. All I knew was that guy from MASH and maybe somebody named Charlie, until I got a phone call in the middle of the night, the kind of phone call nobody wants. And I learned that my dad was in the hospital and was dying. Dan was a cowboy. He was in a rodeo, 25 years old. He zigged when he should have zagged. The bull opened him up from knee to groin. As I came to the bedside in the emergency department, he was still wearing his cowboy hat. He looked at me and he said, "Padre, they're telling me I can't keep doing this, and I got to keep doing this, because if I don't, how is my baby going to still love me? Because she's not going to love me if I don't ride bulls no more." Not the question I was looking for. We talked about love. We talked about relationship. We talked about who he was. And along the way, he found a little bit of courage to talk to his love about how things might be different. Deborah was in a very dark room, sitting at the bedside of her father, Dan. I came in. He had this soft gurgle in the back of his throat, which is an indicator that it wouldn't be long. And I sat down next to her. And she looked over me and whispered, "Everybody is telling me that God doesn't give you more than you can handle, but I can't handle this." I took her hand, and we talked about her God. We talked about her father. She was afraid that she had failed them both. And as we talked, she realized that she wasn't a failure because she was there. And she realized that she was connected to them both. Lucy was 42. She had a failed lung transplant. It was the middle of COVID, so there were no visitors. Everything was on lockdown. Everybody knows. She wanted her partner there. She wanted her 2 children there before she died. And so the medical team and I made up a plan. And it was the middle of the night, and we snuck them in. The hospital was barren. And we made it to the bedside, and her 2 children came up and held both of her hands. Her partner came up and held them all. And Lucy looked at me and asked me to play some Bob Marley. And she died to these words: "Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing is gonna be all right." I'm still learning what a chaplain is. I've been doing this work for 5 years. I went to school for 6 years with even more training after that. What I have learned is that so much of it is just about presence. Anyone in this room can sit with somebody and listen and give them love. It makes all the difference. Sometimes you give courage. Sometimes you hold the belt as they look into the abyss, and sometimes you're just the DJ. But at its core, as chaplains, we remind everyone that you are not alone.